I am Gundam. Everyone, thanks so much for joining me in Chronicles in Collecting, where we're going to take a look at the Metal Robot Spirits 00XN Riser plus 7 Sword plus GN Sword 2 Blaster set. This figure came out in December 2020, and it retailed for about $205. I was fortunately able to pick up a slightly damaged box one for about retail price. So Gundam 00 was a show from 2007 to 2009. It ran for 50 episodes, and then in 2010 it had a follow-up movie. I'm not actually the hugest fan of the show. I guess it was sort of like some people would call it like a modern-day reimagining of kind of the plot of Gundam Wing. I mean, sort of generally the plot is you have this kind of third-party organization called Celestial Being, and basically they, have this like satellite base somewhere like in space, and they have kind of their own like private military, and their goal is to kind of stop all war. And I guess sort of specifically, the way that they're going to do this is by sending out Gundams to stop any wars that are ongoing. It's kind of run by this like mysterious benefactor guy who had like died at some point in the past, and he created this like basically like infinite energy source called the GN drives that's like somehow based on like solar reactors or something like that. Naturally, he used this amazing technological feat to power Gundam so they could operate for an infinite period of time, which he's using to, like I said, try to stop war. And again, similar to Gundam Wing, there's like 5 pilots and blah, blah, blah. That's kind of the show in a nutshell. Obviously, I don't want to get too much into spoilers. It was really popular at the time. It's a really popular show, just for some reason it never did it for me. Kind of interestingly enough, it was the first Gundam to ever be aired in HD. And like I said, very popular show. I, just not super into it, but it has a really awesome mobile suit designs, really cool character designs, really nice animation. So I'm excited to get to unboxing some of the figures. So here's the Gundam itself. So in the show, the main character, Setsuna, starts off with the Gundam Exia, which eventually he gets upgraded to the Gundam 00, obviously the title, Gundam from the series. And then, obviously it gets like a variety of upgrades. One of those is the 00 Riser, which we see as part of this set right here. And then we also have the 00XN Riser, which I believe is this. This actually didn't show up in the show. It showed up in one of the side story mangas. But you can see this thing just has, like almost an infinite number of accessories here. I think they originally released the 00 Gundam and the 00 Riser as one of the actual first Metal Robot Spirits releases. Then they released the 7 Swords and expansion, and then they sort of did another one that just sort of had everything in one, which is the kit that I'm looking at right now. So you can see everything here, really nice. I'll kind of try to show off some of the weapons here. This is one of the swords, and as you can see, it's got the GN, it's got all the right markings and everything like that. So it's actually really nice, in addition to just being really nice, high quality. I always like when the weapons have a little bit more detail, and they're not just like, oh, this is just like a generic beam saber that came with this, or a generic whatever. This does have obviously some beam sabers as well. We got this kind of unique one, which I think looks really cool. Hopefully I'll get to use that in a pose. You have some other kind of less unique ones here, which is nice enough. Obviously it's got a custom base. It's got these guns or wings or whatever you call them. There's obviously 2 of those because we love symmetry. It's got these other small ones. I assume that there's going to be 7 swords if I count all of them for the 7 Swords edition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, those don't count. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe those 7 are it. Maybe not. Anyway, kind of get the point. It's got this like super cool shield. It's got this. And we are back. So this thing was so much fun to put together. It has so many different forms and so many different weapons and stuff like that. I pretty much got everything except I think one of the beam sabers into this. I'm sure that this is not like a canonical form from Gundam 00 or any of the mangas, but it's cool. It's got everything. And this figure's just got, you know, everything going for it. So obviously this right here kind of can separate. I'll put it on the revolving stand in a second, but just to kind of show what's going on, this can also separate. Zoom out just for a second here to see what that looks like, see how kind of high it goes, and those two kind of gun sword things can be separated, they could be combined, and it's also got these arms on the side here, which you could see, which can be used to hold additional weapons on the end, so you could hold 4 weapons. Then on top of that, the knee joints also have additional sabers you could put on. These are the GN drives that I mentioned earlier. Those can come off. These shoulder things go up and down, and these things are you could add on. And I think there's other stuff you could put on there. For example, you could put these on there, and possibly 1 or 2 other weapons as well. But yeah, so this thing's pretty much got everything. Pretty much got everything that you could want. I'm gonna throw it on the stand real. So yeah, this was one of the most fun figures I think that I've ever had. It was, even though it had all these like complications and, you know, hidden joints and this, that, and the other thing, it was actually fun to put together. I was never really frustrated, you know, trying to open up a little thing or trying to get something to poke in the right way or to get the arms or any of the legs or whatever posed the way I wanted. As far as, you know, absolute number of accessories, I think this rivals the Unicorn Gundam Perfectibility Divine Edition. I think that one might still have more weapons than this, but this one is pretty close. And this one, again, maybe not quite as fun to put together as that one. This one was a lot of fun as well to use. You know, I think a lot of times, you know, almost all the time the figures look really nice on the shelf, but I think there is something to say about one that's just like really fun to pose and, you know, put the different weapons on and try different things. The instruction booklet, you know, obviously it's in Japanese, but it was enough that I could figure out what it does. I do have a few kind of very, very minor complaints. One is actually with the booklet. The pieces on the booklet are the shapes of the pieces, but they don't have the marking, so sometimes it's kind of hard to figure out, and it doesn't always show the whole piece, it just shows like a little part of it, so sometimes it's hard to figure out exactly you know, what it's talking about, which makes that a little bit difficult, but again, a pretty minor complaint. Another thing is that the riser is supposed to have some way to attach it to a stand. I have not been able to find that. I think the booklet kind of shows something you're supposed to kind of move out of the way. I wasn't able to figure it out. I'm sure someone else would be able to, so again, a very minor complaint. And then the final complaint is that I thought that the color of the actual figure looks a little different than in some of the promotional items. I don't know why that is. I'm sure it's just kind of the light, maybe also just, you know, having different weapons, you know, just gives it kind of a different feel. But again, pretty minor, but just something to note that if you're, you know, looking, I think that the promotional pictures of it make it look a lot different, I think, than some of the other 00 figures, but I feel like in person it actually looks like a pretty, you know, similar color. All in all, great figure, super high quality, the markings are great, the joints are great, just has a great feel, and all of the weapons are a joy to use, honestly. So I would definitely give this a very high recommendation. If you love Gundam 00, if you love just Gundam in general or the Robot Spirits line, definitely try to pick this up, especially if you can get one, you know, still in the MSRP range of about $250. Anyway, thanks so much for checking out this video. I put new videos up every Wednesday, and I also do anime reviews that go up on Tuesday. Please join me for our next week's video where we're going to take a look at the SH Monster Arts Cross Chogokin Mecha Godzilla Noriyashi poster version. Thanks so much, and keep collecting.